Shashank Joshi. He's one of the members of the Maharashtra COVID task force joining us today on ET Now. Dr. Joshi, appreciate you taking your time out and speaking with us. We're seeing ahead of the festival season. Various states are springing into action to ensure all the SOPs are put in place, even as the devotees are gearing up for Ganesh Chaturthi. I want to understand from you, as far as Maharashtra is concerned, how ready is the state, both administratively and medically as well, ahead of the impending third wave?
So I think from both standpoints, Maharashtra is fully prepared for a potential third wave, whether it is pediatric or adult. The healthcare preparedness plan is in place medically, healthcare wise, and administrative wise. In fact, just yesterday, the Honorable Chief Minister had a My Doctor campaign for all the healthcare professionals as well as lay people at large to educate them. So as far as we are concerned, we are ready, but we cannot afford any complacency. We need to be ready because with the festive season coming up, we need to be cautious and careful. And we are particularly worried that even if you have got a single or double dose of vaccine, you still need to mask and follow some COVID appropriate behavior and rules and protocols. And that is mandatory because we are still seeing a spike after Kerala. Maharashtra is reporting the highest number of cases across India. There are around 4,000 cases. Today, of course, there were 3,500 cases. And there are cities like Mumbai and Thane which have crept up beyond the districts of concern which were there from mainly Nagar and Satara, Sangli, Pune. We are also having these two cities coming up. And you know that Ganesh festival is the largest festival in Mumbai and Maharashtra. And therefore, we need to be extremely cautious and careful. Because last year we saw in the first wave, the largest spike occurred after Ganesh festival.
Absolutely. Dr. Joshi, I want to understand from you, and you very rightly pointed out last time also we saw a sudden surge, but the good news now seems to be that at least in the city of Mumbai, almost 80% of the adults have already received their first jab. Do you believe that, given the fact that the vaccination drive is still going full force, that is at least going to help us keep the lid on the numbers, even as you're telling us that the state is better prepared medically as well? So give us a sense of how the preparations are going on the medical front, and the benefits of the vaccination drive that will be a big shot in the arm, if I can call it that.
You're absolutely right. We need to continue our vaccination and try to ensure that the second dose is given to as many people as quickly as possible to a large population. From a medical standpoint, our jumbo centers are very much there. We can't falter on our testing front. Our biggest problem is people who are asymptomatic and people who are mildly symptomatic should promptly self-isolate and immediately contact trace their contacts and also self-isolate. And that doesn't occur and then the spread occurs. So that is the first problem which we face. So we need to keep our testing very high. Second problem is this time, unlike last year, we are seeing a large deluge of monsoon-related diseases like dengue, H1N1, influenza, flu-like symptoms, as well as malaria. And therefore, there is a lot of viral fever in the city. And that is confusing. And therefore, because we are in COVID times, we have to test COVID. And many of them are COVID negative. So we need to be cautious and careful for sure. We are definitely much better prepared than what we were in the first or second wave, as far as now we are concerned.
Dr. Joshi, it's interesting that you referred to a slew of other flus that are in the air as well. We're seeing a similar situation emerging in places like UP and Delhi as well. In fact, our team of reporters is currently at Firozabad district as well, where we're seeing a slew of cases emerging in terms of dengue. Besides that, news reports coming in of the Nipah virus, of course, rearing its ugly head in the state of Karnataka as well. What are you telling the medical fraternity so far? You did tell us as to how the Chief Minister has been holding regular meetings, trying to understand the current situation. But given the fact that there are several other flus that are doing the rounds at this point of time, what are you telling the medical fraternity?
So I think we are sensitizing doctors. This is a very common fever season and there's a lot of undifferentiated fevers. So they need to be promptly treated. But we still need to do COVID. Independent of whatever it is, do not delay COVID testing. Because we are in COVID times, we have to test for COVID and isolate. independent of the viral flu, because all viral flus are fast spreading. Our biggest challenge is the Delta variant. And we still have the largest circulating Delta variant in virus in Kerala and Maharashtra. And Delta variant is spreading as fast as chickenpox. And which is why in COVID times, independent of the fever which you have, you must do COVID test. That is what we are re-emphasizing with all our healthcare professionals.
Dr. Joshi, before I let you go, and I also want to get a sense from you on the latest Kerala High Court order that now seems to say that the CoWIN portal should allow the paid second dose of Covishield within 4 weeks of the first dose. Even as the NTAGI was looking at various recommendations that had said that now, given the fact that we have a lot of vaccines in place, we can look at significantly reducing the gap between two doses of Covishield. Do you believe the latest court order coming in from the Kerala High Court is going to expedite this entire process of once again the center re-looking at reducing the dosage gap between the two Covishield doses?
Fundamentally, the second dose delay was based on a science fact. Probably there was an availability issue, but that was not the primary reason it was delayed. The studies very clearly concluded that if you delay and defer the second dose, the immune boosting potential is better. So the antibody response is much better, almost to the tune of 80%. If you give a dose within a month, then most of the times you will get around a 65% antibody response. So the delay was basically a so-called deferred heterologous boost. And that boosting, which is called as delayed priming boost, was given through for an immunological and scientific reason. So I think now if there is a need, because Kerala is a state which is an exception where there is a lot of COVID in place already, and the second wave is just not seeming to come down. As an exception, the scientific community will look into it and make a decision how to tackle this further. But I think we will have to be very cautious and careful when we make such recommendations. From a science standpoint, there was some logic in delaying the dose. But there has been a lot of flip-flop. Initially, it was 1 month, then it was 2 months, then it was 84 days. So I think there were two things. There was some very sound scientific rationale in delaying the second dose. There is no question asked about it. Now what has happened is we want to complete the 2 doses of vaccines as early as possible. If availability is not an issue, I am sure the science team of the NTAG will look into this more carefully and cautiously and advise the Honorable High Courts appropriately.
Okay, all right. On that note, Dr. Joshi, appreciate you taking your time out and speaking with us today.